I open the phone, and when I open this phone, I start seeing text messages from other men. I start seeing pictures of other men. I'm not sure how X-rated we can get on here or whatever, but just use your imagination. Like it was, naked pictures of other men, things like that in her phone, multiple guys. So it wasn't just one guy. And then messages from her ex-boyfriend as well too that used to beat her. Conversations with him, and he's kind of pivotal in this particular conversation. So at that moment, you can just imagine on what's going through my mind. And at this moment, I would work at night and she worked during the day. So I had our daughter in the morning time and in the afternoon until she got off of work. And at that moment, I looked at her and tears just start falling down because I'm starting to question now, is she really mine?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Matt Brown, and you're listening to the Every L Podcast. Each episode, we'll have a different guest come on and talk about when life hands you an L, is it really a loss or is it something else? Because not every L is a loss. So sit back, relax, or do whatever you guys do to get comfortable as we get into this. Let's go. Welcome everyone to another episode of Every L Podcast. For every episode, we have a different guest come on and they talk about things they've experienced in life. And initially, it felt like an L because everything was all stacked up, ready to go. Things were planned out the way they should be. And then for one reason or another, or multitude of reasons, things just didn't add up. 2 + 2 didn't make 4. What? And now people get to look back, recount what happened, and sort of work out, was it really an L? Or was it something else that they gained from the situation? Or it could just be a flat out L. There's no harm, no foul in this situation. But it's nice to understand what people have been through because we live and breathe amongst one another. But we don't always know what's going on. We only see the surface levels. And then at times, we only see what we want to see because it makes us feel more comfortable. And sometimes us being comfortable makes other people feel uncomfortable. And I think as we talk, you'll probably understand where I'm coming from just because I know where I'm going with that. I would like to think most of the conversation that we have on here will lead you on that same path. But as cliche as it sounds, I have a fantastic guest. And this gentleman, I found him because he had a clip with him and one other dad. And it just brought a smile to my face. It's one of those moments where you're just sitting there on your phone and you see a clip and you just start grinning like a Cheshire cat because it just filled you with so much love, so much warmth. Just the fact that you saw him get happy, seeing another dad in a similar situation, they just run and embrace each other. And that's what I want to do. I want to help bridge the gap between strangers and get them to meet with other people who are like them in similar situations so they feel less alone. When I saw what he was doing, and then I just shared their content because, like, why wouldn't I? Let's promote good, positive, wholeheartedness. And we just started talking from there. And I kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole, seeing what it's about. Oh my gosh, this guy is just up there. And I say that not because of his stature. I say that because of the content he shares. He's very open-minded. He knows what he knows and he understands that there's a lot more to learn and grow. His son, his family, it's just beautiful. And he's a bit of an open book. Don't get it wrong. Not everything you see on social is what happens in real life. I get that. But he still puts it out there. And it gives you a sense of gratitude, a sense of being happy in the face of adversity. But it's just him as a person, hearing things that he's spoken about on his podcast, with different guests and so forth. You sit there and it does plant a seed and makes you want to continue that conversation and understand, why do we believe what we believe, or why do we say what we say, or why do we conduct ourselves in a certain way? And these are some things that people don't do. They don't sit in their feelings. They don't sit in this thought process and they just abandon it and then make assumptions about what they thought or what they were going to come to. But he doesn't do that. there might be instances he does, but for on the platforms that I've seen him on, he doesn't do that, and I applaud him and I love him for it, because I think more of those conversations need to be had. It's not wrong to sit in your emotions. It's not wrong to question certain things. When you make a product or provide a service, you have to stress test it. You have to make sure everything has been checked off that box. And if it's not and it goes out to market, more than likely you're going to find someone that's going to find a fault with it. So you got to then take it back and revise it. And that's where you come out with Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 4. Or it just gets pulled all together because it's just not up to standard. So why, as a person, would you not want to make sure you check yourself, that you reinvent yourself every so often, just to make sure that the times you're living, you're appropriate for that situation? You know, way back when I got beats as a child. Nowadays, you don't need to be doing that. You can articulate yourself. You can conduct yourself in a different way. But, you know, you hopefully get where I'm coming from. But anyway, I digress. I have a fantastic guest on here. His name's Kenny. And I'm going to let him introduce himself before we talk about his L yet. But he's going to introduce himself in any way that he sees fit. And then we're going to jump on to what he wants to talk about. Kenny, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, my man. Thank you, Matt, for bringing me on. Hello, everyone on the podcast. Thank you for tapping in, listening. I hope that you guys get some good wisdom, some good knowledge. Pray that your spirit is edified with some truth and something that's valuable that you could take home with you from this conversation. For those that don't know me, my name is Kenneth Allen Thomas. I am a father of five, a husband, a man of God. I am also known on the internet as the dancing dad for my heroic efforts, helping my son defeat cancer within 149 days, half the time expected of what was projected by the doctors. And, it was a rough time, but a joyous time at the same time, being able to overcome that type of adversity. And now, coming from being a 20-year vet inside the dance industry, now retired from that and doing personal and professional development coaching and keynote speaking around the world, speaking about our story, being an author of a few books, and being able to help people on a day-to-day basis is what I love to do. My whole thing is helping people strive and really, really live out their fullest potential, and learning how to do that with practical tools, things that are not way over our heads, things that we can actually do right now, and moving forward in that. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm ready to rock and roll, man. Let's get it going.
That's it. Come on. He did it such a better way than I did. Like, I just rambled. He just got to the point. But that's what you just got to love about him. He's just so giving. And you'd think for someone to give that much, it's sort of like, how do you do it? And I just think he's an incredible individual. So I'm grateful to have him on to share what he's going to share. And yeah, let's get it on. So your first L that you said you want to talk about, if I am correct, is your first marriage.
Yeah, man. Super crazy, man. 21 years old. I'm 39 now, but I was 21 years old, and I made a crazy decision. I was in a relationship where I felt that I needed to step up to the plate. We had a child at that time, and I was with someone that I thought was going to be my forever, but it turned out that that wasn't the case. Um, I went through something that no man wants to truly, truly go through. And it's funny that I'm saying that right now, because that's a weight that no man wants to carry. And as you probably seen on my recent Instagram post, where I have a video that's actually going viral about men, releasing some form of weight to so that they can keep going and moving forward, especially confiding in their wives. And this particular marriage, it was the complete opposite. And we had a child, and I found out 2.5 years into the marriage that the child that we were raising wasn't biologically mine, which is a heavy thing to go through, especially when you are in your upper 20s. You make this decision, you want to marry this girl, you want to step up to the plate, you want to do right by her, you want to do the right thing. And what ended up happening is that there was a lot of turmoil in that relationship, a lot of toxicness in that relationship, a lot of things that were a lot on my end as well too, so I'm not excluded. But that right there was like that put the icing on the cake for us. And that was something like a situation that I don't think any man, any father would really want to go through. And for anybody that is a loving father, you pretty much understand that, your children are, your world in a sense. You'll do anything for them. You're their protectors until the day you're called home. So for me, going through that situation, it was like probably one of the darkest times in my life.
Damn. You're probably the first person I've spoken to who has lived through a sort of Jerry Springer sort of situation where
Yeah.
you are not the father. Because let's be fair, even though it's not biologically your child, if you felt that was your child, you are a dad. You have gone
Yep.
through every single conceivable feelings, emotions as a father, and then to be told, sorry, can you repeat that, please? Because what you're saying, it's not computing. It's just not there, man. Just wow.
So the story goes, so me and my ex-wife, we went to high school together. We got together after high school. So we didn't really even was rocking like that in high school at all. And when I got with her, my mom, she was one of the ones that was just like, I'm not feeling this girl at all. Like, ain't no way. When we found out that she was pregnant, my mom actually pulled me into the room by myself, and she was like, "That baby ain't," she said, "That baby ain't yours. She trying to trap you." And I'm like, "Trap me with what? I ain't got no money. I'm broke." So, like, I'm broke. Like, I'm not an athlete. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, I ain't Will Smith. I ain't none of that. Right. So I dismissed what my mother said. And it was just I wasn't really seeing it. A lot of people that were close to me saw what I didn't see, or saw what I didn't want to see. And it got to a point where every day in that marriage seemed like an argument. Every day seemed toxic. Every day seemed like we're getting on each other's nerves. It was just wasn't a real marriage. It just wasn't. Like, it was always something. Like, it was always an attitude about something. And this one day, my ex-wife comes home with a phone bill that was over $700. Yeah. I could see a $700 phone bill if you got multiple lines. I could see a $700 phone bill if you got a business. I cannot see a $700 phone bill if you are one individual person. Who are you calling? And at that time, we had separate phone lines. We were on two different carriers at the time. She came home with this bill, and that phone absolutely had to get cut off because I didn't have the money to pay that. And I'm like, whose number is this on the line? There was two numbers on it. And she tried to tell me this crazy lie that, remember when I tried to get you on, my plan with me? Well, they must have taken the social security number or something like that, and put your and gave the number to somebody else. Like, it was just the wildest lie ever. And that's when my antenna started to go up. I'm like, all right, she's hiding something, but she doesn't really want me to know, and she's not telling me the truth. So I let it slide. And then my ex-wife started to change her attitude. Remember I said, like, every day was like toxic. Every day, like, it was like an argument. And then all of a sudden we start going out on dates. So all of a sudden she starts being nice. All of a sudden things start to like change. Like, her mentality started to change and shift. And I'm just like, like, things are a little bit different. Why? So I got her a new phone on my plan. So it was just two phones on my phone plan. So the other phone, it got cut off. And she ended up taking that phone with her every day to work. So my question is that, why are you taking a phone that doesn't work anymore with you to work? What do you need it for? Like, I'm confused. And this is like around 2000, like 2008ish, around there. She ends up saying to me that, like, just continuously with the lies. And then one day she left that phone by accident in the bathroom. Now, I'm not the snooping type of person, but my spirit was just hitting me like, go open the phone. I open the phone, and when I open this phone, I start seeing text messages from other men. I start seeing pictures of other men. Uh, I'm not sure how X-rated we can get on here or whatever, but just use your use your imagination. Like it was, naked pictures of other men, things like that in her phone. Multiple guys. So it wasn't just one guy. And then messages from her ex-boyfriend as well too that used to beat her. And conversations with him. And he's kind of pivotal in this particular conversation. So at that moment, you can just imagine on what's going through my mind. And at this moment, I would work at night and she worked during the day. So I had our daughter in the morning time and in the afternoon until she got off of work. And at that moment, I looked at her and tears just start falling down because I'm starting to question now, is she really mine? So when she was about 2, I ordered a paternity test. And I ordered the paternity test, came in at this time, like, they didn't have what we have today. You can probably find out quickly, but back then you would have to get the kit from the lab, and then the lab would then swab your mouths and think like you would swab your mouth and then you would put it back in and then send it back off to the lab. And you have to wait 3 to 4 weeks to get results. So that's what we ended up doing. And I did it. I had everything sent to my parents' house, so she wouldn't know that I went ahead and got a paternity test. And I ended up doing that. And when 3, 4 weeks later, I'm teaching the dance class. My father calls me up. He says the results came in, and he said, "Do you want me to open it?" And I said, "Dad, I know you want to know, so go ahead and open it." Right? And he opens it and he read me the results. And when he read me the results, that Kenneth Allen Thomas is excluded as the biological father. I won't say the name for her protection and everything, but it was 99.9999999% not the father. You could just only imagine what was going through my mind right now. Like at that time, uh I couldn't even finish the class that I was teaching. So my boss understood. I got an opportunity to leave, and the crazy part was I was working an hour and a half away from home. So I had this long drive back home. And I go back home and I told my ex-wife not to come home because we were already arguing again and she had left. And I said, "Don't come home." And she said, "Why? What's going on?" I said, "I don't want you to come back right now because if you come back right now, things may get ugly." The day that I found out, the child was not mine is the day that, that was my wife's birthday as well. Same day. My ex-wife's birthday was the same day that I found out that the child wasn't mine. So she comes home the next day and I'm figuring out how should I tell her. And at this moment, I'm fuming with rage and I just needed a day to kind of like decompress on how I was going to do this. She ends up coming back. I took a shower. She got herself all ready because we were going to quote unquote celebrate her birthday. And I took a shower and I got ready like like we were about to get it on pretty much. But I left the brown envelope on the nightstand next to her. I get out the shower. I go into the room. She's all ready. She's in lingerie and all of this stuff, ready to go. And I say, I got your present. And she says, "Oh, where's my gift?" I said, "It's right next to you, right there on the nightstand." This is a true story. Right? Right there on the nightstand. And she opens it up and she's like, "What is this?" I said, "Read it." And as she's reading it, her jaw drops and she was speechless. For the first time, she didn't know what to say. Any other time, she got a lot of mouth. This time, she didn't know what to say. And at that point, she said, "I didn't know." And I'm like, "You're lying. You knew. You knew the entire time. You knew the entire time." And then after all the commotion and the arguing and the fighting, she ends up saying words that I will never forget. I don't know how to make this up to you, but the only thing that I can think of is giving you a child of your own. It's literally what she said. Those words will never leave me ever. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, who says that? That just goes to show you how crazy her mind was. Like, you literally said that. At that moment, I began to change my life to where I got to start doing things for me. Obviously, I just couldn't just up and leave my daughter just like that. It just wasn't that easy. It took quite a few months to kind of like pull back from that moment, but it was the start of who I am today.
Damn. Oh, wow. So, just to clarify some stuff. So, prior to you getting married, you and her were intimate.
Yep.
So, there was a possibility child could have been yours.
Yep.
But it just so happened that someone else was the one that got to the egg.
Yep.
When she was pregnant, Mum's had the conversation because, let's be fair, I think now as we're grown, we kind of see things that you don't see when you're in the moment.
Yeah.
But Mum's kind of say, hold up, I'm seeing them red flags being waved.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm colorblind. I can't see what you're seeing. It's just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When did you get married after finding out she was pregnant?
We got married after we had the baby.
Okay.
So we were together, and then we got married. We got engaged while she was pregnant, and then after the baby was born in January, and then we got married in June. So about 6 months after.
Did you feel pressured to do that? Did you feel like an innate feeling of responsibilities? Like we did the deed together.
Yep.
Mum and dad raised me well, so I'm gonna do right by them, right by my family.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna hold it down.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the mentality at 21 years old. That was the mentality, ready to go in, be a leader. And, I knew what I was doing. And it was, I felt at the time it was the right thing to do. I don't regret any of it. I don't regret, none of that, because it truly, turned me into, or was the beginning of, who I am. But there were times, even at the wedding, the day of the wedding, I'm walking down the driveway, and my mom goes, you don't have to do this. Like, this is on the day, like, I'm literally about to drive to the wedding. She stops me at the driveway and says, you don't have to do this. So my mom was literally like trying to stop me multiple times, and I wasn't listening, So after all of that, um I did find out who the father was, and it was the boyfriend that was beating her prior to, and he was the actual father, which I had a hunch because she looked just like him. Like, she looked just like him. I'm just like, man, like, that's crazy. The guy that I thought that I saved you from, you went back to, or you kept dealing with, or the moment when he left and said, "Yo, I'm out." But when you found out that you were pregnant, you said that the child wasn't his, and then you put it on me and said the child is mine. Because maybe you saw the qualities that I had that he didn't. Maybe you thought I was going to be a better father and he wasn't. Like, maybe you saw that, and that's why you did what you did. I never really got that explanation. And nor do I care about it, but it's just the fact that it's just ironic to see see those things, how they played out.
I think it's telling because you did say that, you know, you're not an athlete, you don't have money like that and everything else. But the reality is that we don't necessarily see the value that we bring to the environment, to a situation,
Yeah.
whereas other people are able to clearly see it. Some people abuse that, some people embrace it, some people reciprocate it.
Mhm.
But clearly, it seemed like she saw from a distance, yo, if I want someone to raise my child, this is the person. But even if that may be the case, she clearly seemed like she wasn't in a place to appreciate such a
Yeah.
quality in a person. Prior to the baby being born, how did you feel? How did you feel learning that you was going to be a dad?
Man, scared. I was a little scared. I'm like, "Man, like, this is" you know, because at the time, I was a young dancer. I wasn't as good as I am today. I was still just learning the ropes. I was literally trying to find my career. I'm technically fresh out of high school, 24 months out of high school. Like, I, like, literally just graduated. And to get thrown into adulthood like that and feeling the feeling of a child, coming into the world, I said, wow, I have this sense of responsibility now. And I was scared, but ready at the same time, or at least I felt ready. But I wasn't financially ready. I wasn't financially set. There was still so much more that I had to learn. I didn't know how to be a dad or anything, but I did have some form of training on what it felt like to care for others because of the relationship with my sister and our upbringing and her following me, as a young kid because we're 4.5 years apart. So she was always like tagging along with me. So it was things like that when I did find out that I was going to be a dad, it was excitement, but at the same time, there was a lot of you know resentment in that from other people, and because like you said earlier, they probably see the potential in me. They saw what I'm capable of doing. Kind of like an athlete that may have a child early that has a lot of promise and potential, and then it could be like you're wasting your life away type of thing.
And then baby comes along, take it, you're at the hospital.
I was at the hospital. I was there for everything. I was there for the birth. I was there for it all. And here's the ironic part. And here's what I want people to understand and get. Sometimes the things that we go through in life that we are blind to become very, very clear to us later on. It's kind of like a baby when they're born, their vision is a little blurry. And it takes a couple of months for them to kind of see clearly on who they're looking at. Are they looking at mom? Are they looking at dad? Who are they looking at? When it comes to our purpose in life, sometimes the vision can be very, very blurry, but the spark of the purpose can be very, very nasty. It could be very, very like, traumatic in a sense, right? But I promise you, if you stay the course, on your purpose and what you're called to do, I promise you, God is going to reveal all the things that, are promised to you without fail. Why do I say that? So, my ex wife, her birthday is January 24th. And the crazy part is that I found out that I lost a child on January 24th, which was the daughter who I found out that wasn't biologically mine, right? So, on January 24th, my ex-wife and I, like once again, the biological child, I found out January 24th that she wasn't mine. Now, that was about that was what 2006 and this is now 2023, so we're talking 17 years,
Wow.
right? So it's been 17 years since that happened. 17 years to the day this year, January 24th, 2023. My fifth child was born. Hezekiah, my son who I have children with my wife now, our fifth child was born 17 years to the date on my ex-wife's birthday. The funny thing is that my wife knows that how precious that day is for me, right? Because it was once a day of turmoil. a day of pain, a day of sorrow, that 17 years later, God said, no, now this is a day of bliss, a day of happiness, a day of joy, because I have, replenished you and promised you what I was going to promise you, a child on this day, on this very day. So no longer is this day a day of, bad, but now it's known as a day of good because my child Hezekiah was born on January 24th.
It's kind of like having manure being the best type of fertilizer.
Yeah.
It was absolute trash. And then what
Yeah.
comes from it? Wow,
Yeah.
look how beautiful you are. Look how vibrant you are.
Yeah.
And that's because out of the darkest times, you have the brightest light,
Hmm.
and you have to
Yeah.
squint sometimes because it's just
Mm.
so bright.
Yes, sir.
How difficult was it to look at your child after that? Now, I'm not going to rehash what happened when you was at the studio and you stopped, because I think a lot of us can probably understand how you probably felt. Words probably would have failed you multiple times. But when you look at your daughter, because she's still your daughter,
Yep.
no matter what's been said to you in that instant, that's been what, 30 months potentially that you've had of having your child, and then the 9 months in the belly.
Yep.
That's my daughter.
Yep.
And now I'm looking at you, and like you said about the vision being blurry, and now you're seeing it.
Mhm.
She don't look like me. She
Mm-mm.
look like that, bruh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the mannerisms, all of that stuff.
Mhm.
It was there in front of me,
Mhm.
and I willfully discarded it
Mhm.
and just accept it for what it is.
Mhm.
How did you how did you process that? Because
Yeah.
I don't understand how I would, how I could, but I would probably understand the need to, especially
Mhm.
if the relationship with the ex is the way it is.
Mhm.
But I'm just trying to understand how you detach that, because it's not just the physical detachment, it's also
Mhm.
the mental, the physical, the
Yeah.
emotional. How did
Yeah.
that work?
Well, I'm a my personality is a protagonist, right? So I'm somebody that is loyal. I'm someone who is an optimist. I'm somebody who tries to see the good in every situation, right? So processing it, number one, I had to go to God on it. I didn't have the relationship with God that I have now back then. My relationship with God is completely on another level versus back then. But processing it, I used my gifts to make the shift, right? I used my gift to make the shift. What I mean by that is I didn't have a therapist. I didn't have homies that I can call and talk to that actually been through what I've been through. I never had any of that. I couldn't even talk to me and my father couldn't even like process this because he never been through it. Like he there for all his kids, So and we look like him. So the process of going through was I had to use what was within. And understanding what was within was my artistic mindset. So what I did was I created and reenacted the scene again. And I turned on the camera. I got some friends together and I put a short film together of the entire situation and I posted it on YouTube. And what I did was, I directed a short film of everything that just happened in my life because I could not move on, if I didn't do something. So my art, my dance, like all of that, hip hop, everything, I took it and I told a story. And because I can't you just can't hold it in. It has to be released some way or the other. So if you don't have money for a therapist, if you don't know anybody to talk to, well, what do you have? What do you have? And sometimes you have to go to God and say, this is all I got. And when using that, it was a really, really cool success at the fact that I was able to turned this story into what I like to call the Chronicles of Alan, which is it's on YouTube and everything. If you guys go back and check it out, you can go check it out. But don't judge me because the quality of it back then was so trash. Like it was so bad, bro. Like it was terrible. It was horrible. But like but it does get better. The story got better, the quality got better over, as I did more. I did about 8 episodes, so it's like a solid season. And yeah, man, that's how I got through it. I got through it by reenacting it. I got through it by putting myself back in the situation. I didn't run from the situation. I went through the situation. I went through the storm. And I think what oftentimes people tend to do is they run away from the storms. They run away from the storms, and the storm is still chasing them. The cloud is still going to be over your head because you're running you're running away from the storm instead of running towards the storm. I would dare say if you run toward the storm, that cloud is going to pass you by and it's not going to look back. It's going to keep going in that same direction. Now that I went ahead and faced it head on and, delivered content that was, this is what happened, and I'm comfortable with that, whether she liked it or not, whether it doesn't matter. Like, I'm telling this story. It truly, truly helped me in such a way that I believe helped, many other people as well too. So I just gather my friends up and I say, yo, y'all want to help me shoot this? And we did it. And that's how I kind of got through it, man. Like having that type of support system to help me tell this story was major.
That's really interesting. Do you think that helped you because you end up having to remove yourself from the situation and
Mm-hmm.
kind of piece it together to say, okay, I'm one of the jigsaw pieces in this mess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know what I'm building right now, what I'm part of. So by you removing yourself, it's like you're able to say, right, let me assemble this jigsaw and see where I fit in,
Yep.
and then decide whether you want to continue being that part in that jigsaw or finding a new purpose in another jigsaw.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Because one of the things I teach in my courses is remove yourself to improve yourself, right? And sometimes you have to remove yourself from the situation because what happens, man, oftentimes when tragic strikes, when things get real crazy for people, they automatically want to react. And when they react, they become they may make the situation far worse than what it is. So me removing myself from the situation to kind of look at things from an outside perspective and an outside view actually helped me in that process. And it actually helps me in life till this day. Whenever anything happens in life, from my son having cancer, I remove myself from the room to see things from an outside perspective so that I know how to attack the situation head on. It's more so of being silent before speaking, being a good listener before actually being an active speaker, being the person that seeks to understand before seeking to be understood.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that's very important. I know at times I can react, but a lot of times I don't. And people don't like that about me
Mm,
because I get told that probably when how I speak and what I say, because I'm trying to be considerate in what I'm saying, it's sort of like, am I being sincere in what I'm saying? It's like I am. I'm just trying to be mindful of what I say and how I come across and make
mhm,
sure I address the points that need to be addressed that I think are important. It's not always about me. And it's hard for me to accept that as an individual because I think a lot of us, we are the star of our own movie. We are
right,
we are the star of our own books. So
mhm,
it makes sense that it's all about us. But
mhm,
when you arrive to that place where you realize there's other people out there, other people have got other stuff going on, how you perceive things to be isn't necessarily the only way it can be perceived or the only way it will eventually become. There are multiple outcomes of this situation, despite what the experts or the professionals are telling you, because all
correct,
they're telling you is information based on past experience. They can't see the future. It's a best guess. So
mhm,
anyone could probably say to you, "Oh, I've seen 10 episodes of Jerry Springer where this happens. And what normally happens is this person does this person keys a car, that person does that." But it doesn't mean that's how you're going to react. How you're going to react is how you feel you need to react in that moment, regardless of how you felt in the initial moment.
right,
So you reenacted all that. You felt better. Can I ask, do you still have a relationship with her, the daughter?
No. We the last interaction I had with her was we were at my parents' house and I was watching her for a little bit. Um I had got her some some Mickey Mouse some Minnie Mouse ears uh cuz I had did some work down in Disney World at the time, or Disney whatever, one of those Disney places. um and did some work down there, came home with that. And that was like our last interaction together. Uh the nail in the coffin was Christmas. And I think that was Christmas of 2008-ish, somewhere around there, where I had bought about $200 worth of clothes, and me and my ex-wife weren't speaking, so I had dropped the clothes off at her doorstep for Christmas. And the next day, those clothes were right back on my doorstep. So yeah, and at that point, I stopped all communication and I said, "All right, this is it." This is literally like maybe, you know, this is months after. Like, so it happened in January. This is at the end of the year. So took about 11 months, 11, 12 months and everything for this thing to really fizzle out. And and that was it, man. Like that was it after that. I have not spoken to her or had any type of communication with her since.
I guess it makes it easier when the mum did what she did.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. Um, but I was still willing to be her father. I was still willing to be her father, but at the same time, I couldn't deal with, that, toxicness either. So I guess I guess it was easier, I guess, you could say that. But was it ideal? Probably not at the time, because I still wanted to be a dad. But it was best because of where I'm at now, you know? But unfortunately, it didn't pan out to the way I would have liked for any man. It didn't pan out to that. But um, I think these days, sometimes the days are tough because you think about the situation and it's like, man, like what if, right? Like what if it could have been different to where I could still be her dad? You miss, these birthdays, you miss the sweet 16s. She's probably a senior in high school at this point right now, so she's going to be graduating. You know, I am I am honestly sure at some point in time that I'm almost positive that she may know who I am, but then again, I never know.
Yeah. How did this series of situations impact your future relationships?
Well, that was the reason why I did the short film, because if I didn't, then the future relationships that I was going to be in, I would be holding on to a lot of that, a lot of what happened. And I know that the people that I meet in the future didn't deserve any of that if there was any backlash on my part. So I was at least aware enough that I got to make sure that I'm okay with me first. I got to make sure that I'm good first, because no one else is going to deserve any type of turmoil that I may bring into a relationship if I'm not okay. Like, I got to make sure that I'm okay. Got to make sure that, you know, my mind is right in the best space possible. But I'll tell you, I went down a road of trying to be with this girl and that girl and like just doing things that I'm not necessarily proud of, because I was hurt and it seemed like some people just didn't care. I was always the guy that everybody leans toward for advice, for leadership, for, all these things. But, I didn't have all those people that are willing to take the time out to pour into me daily from what I was needing. Not saying that people did not. There were men that did, but it wasn't, to where I needed it on a daily basis. So that's why I turned to dance, and I turned to putting all my focus into my career, because that's where I was able to let it all out when I couldn't talk to other people.
Yeah. When would you say was the lowest point of that situation, and how did you deal with it?
The lowest point, I think the lowest point was when I found out my mother had cancer. That was the lowest point. Not only that, I almost died as well too, because I had a staph infection, and I almost redlined on with the staph infection if I didn't get to the hospital when I got there, because I was very, very close. I was procrastinating going to the hospital. So all at the same time, I'm going through a divorce. Um, the child is not biologically mine. My mom has cancer. I moved back home, and here I am in ICU. And I'm like, man, this is pretty low. This is pretty low. So that was the moment. But how did I get through it? It was my will to. I remember someone say, one of my mentors saying, Kenny, if I could talk you out of this, then this ain't for you. And I had every reason to stop dancing. I had every reason to give up. I had every reason to just pack it in and just go do something else. Many times, my ex-wife would try and get me to stop dancing. She even said one time, like, give it up. You're whack. You're corny. You're never going to make it.
Sorry, what?
Never going to make it. Yeah. Yeah. She would tell me these things. She said, you're whack. You're corny. You're never going to make it. Give up this dance thing. Like, you're just not that good. And it didn't, it drove me to do it more. And I'm pretty successful at the fact that I've been able to, off of dance, see countries like Japan, see countries like Bulgaria, see multiple cities in the United States, be able to choreograph for big name artists like in old school artists like Rob Bass, right, and different things like that. Do things with Jill Scott and other performers. Be in movies like Step Up 3, be in different TV shows like Ugly Betty, The Good Wife, and all these different things that I've been able to do because of the drive that I had. And when I was in that hospital at that low point, I was thinking about those things. I was thinking about, yo, if if this can talk me out of doing it, then it's not for me. But I just wasn't ready to give up. So in my mind was simply, this is prior to me actually saying it, but this is really what it is. When we change the mind, we change the game. When we change the mind, we change the game. And then when I started doing that, that's when I started saying, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get my win back. I'm gonna be better than what I was before. And I'm going to push. And I started to invest in myself. When I started to invest in myself, that's when things really started to change, because I had no more responsibility. This is all I had. All I had was me.
I guess it gave you a second chance, really, because when it was you had the responsibility to be able to get up and go, you can't. You've got a newborn, you've got a toddler, you've got the
Yeah.
responsibility, you're holding it down. But now it's a matter of, yo, if I
Yeah.
have the extra time, the additional freedom to do as I see fit, oh, yes, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And it's quite interesting because you said something that I have said for a number of episodes, and it's a matter of, you can't apply a filter to life, but you can change your mindset.
Yep.
and that's what's going to help you achieve and obtain what you want to obtain. I don't like the phrase "bad things come in free," and someone could say in your situation, "Bad things happen in free." But it's kind of like you're looking for it. That's why you found it. But if you're looking for the good things in your life, the things to be grateful for,
Mhm.
you'll also find those things. And
Mhm.
just hearing that situation just sounds, it feels like, all right, cool. I'm numb by this pain. So now all this other stuff's coming along. It's like, you know what? Might as well throw it my way. I'm numb to it all. It's just, have at it. I'm there. Just I can't feel anything more than what I'm already feeling. But I will ask this question,
Yeah.
and I think you kind of answered it already, but I don't know if the answer could be different. So let's assume you are who you are now. You're able to go back in time. Nothing you do back in time is going to impact what happens today, right? Where you are today. But what would you say to your younger self at your lowest point to encourage you to push through if you felt that I just can't? Like I honestly, that the handbrake's on. I'm here. I'm parked. I'm neutral. Leave me be. The world's gonna keep spinning, but I ain't about that no more. I'm done. What are you saying to your younger self to encourage you to not give up and to keep pushing through?
Build a real relationship with God. Build a real relationship with God. I kind of feel like I'm like almost 20 years behind. Um and well, not really 2010. I'm 10 years behind because I really started to get get right with God when I was 29. So I would tell my younger self to sit down and listen for a second. I want to give you something. I want to share something with you that is going to benefit you throughout your entire life moving forward. You will remember this day. You will never regret what I'm about to tell you. And what I'm about to tell you has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with materialistic things. It has nothing to do with any of that. But it is God's wisdom that is going to take you to another level. And if you obey and hear these words of wisdom, these words right here that were written, truly by the Holy Spirit, then you will be the one that you will do things that will be exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ask, think, or imagine. But you have to like sit down and you have to take heed and be an active listener of what I'm about to tell you and share with you. And if I was speaking to my younger self, I would truly share the gospel with them. I would truly sit there and tell him, this is what you need. This is something that's going to be different from what everybody else is telling you. Everybody else is on the street telling you something different. Everybody else on the street telling you to be with this girl, go do this, go do that. But what I'm giving you, is something that will never run dry. This will be a moment here where, you know what? You'll never be thirsty. You'll never be thirsty. You'll never be, wanting to, needing a drink because you'll have, flowing water throughout and your throat would never get thirsty. So I would tell them to don't be religious, but build a strong relationship. And the final thing I would say is foundation is key. The foundation being key is that you can build your house on the sand or you could build your house on a rock. And I would give him these two choices. If you build your house on sand, it may be the most beautiful thing that anybody's ever seen. But the fact is that you run the risk of a hurricane hitting it and it falling down because it's built on a softer foundation. But if you build your house on a rock, although it may be harder, when the hurricane hits, that thing is going to stand the test of time. And you'll be so much more prepared. You'll be in your room with your cell phone or your Wi-Fi, while whoever else is out there building houses on sand is going to keep building inside of a storm because they didn't use the tools to build on a firm foundation, being a rock versus sand.
So you said that also eloquently. Do you think your younger version of yourself would have heard you? Or do you think you'd had to have presented it in a different way in order for yourself to hear it?
Yes, I do. I do feel my younger self would have heard. because I was already a sponge for knowledge and wisdom. It just when it came to love, I wasn't. I was already like, I was already that guy where I'm willing to put the work in. So I was already ready to listen. But again, like when it came to love, I wasn't.
And I love that. And I respect it. I just know that sometimes how things are being said now in hindsight, like, got the toolkit, know what I'm saying, da 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 da. But I know
Yeah.
how my younger self would have probably reacted to some of them stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
have to drop it in a different way. But I love that for you. And I just love how well you presented it. So I will ask then, in the coming months, years, and so forth, when you now got with your now wife
Mhm.
and she was with child, how did you feel at that point? Was it a panic station of going, I've been here before?
Mm.
How long till I find out? And then the baby comes, you're looking at that baby, checking it all 4D. Is that baby mine? Them ears look different. I'm not sure. Pigmentation, questionable. Because I know I make it sound comical, but the reality is, or at least I like to think, if something traumatic's happened to you already, it's hard to erase them feelings because in theory you're then going back blind and that like a fool.
Mhm.
Sorry if I'm offending anybody. Just
Mhm.
going, oh well, that didn't happen. Let's go again because
Yeah.
you've been bitten.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go again and go, hang on, I'm coming from a place of experience. Let me just make sure everything is kosher.
Yeah.
Was that the case for you?
No, not at all. Not in this case. The reason why is because me and my wife in our house, we have an oil painting in our house. It has a scripture on it, and then it has our wedding date on it. But off of it is hanging a ring with 3 cords that are braided. And we know that a three-folded cord is not easily broken. So, when we got married, we braided the cord together at our wedding. And there was no doubt in my mind that she was the one. How did I know that she was always gonna be loyal to me? My apartment burned down in, maybe like 10 years ago, somewhere around there. And we had just got together. I moved back home to my mom's house. She actually had just moved back from Hawaii, and she was getting out of a divorce as well too. And we had got together, and I ended up going back to my mom's house in this small, tiny, like probably like 400 square foot room, like super small. And she slept with me on the air mattress. Not an air mattress. She slept with me on a twin bed. We had a twin bed. So we had a twin bed, and inside that room was a lot of love. Inside that room was a lot of hope. Inside that room was a lot of faith. And inside that room was all of our stuff. We were tight. And I remember her being with me during those rough times. I remember her saying that she believes in what I do. And I knew that when she got pregnant, there was no doubt in my mind that the baby was mine. There was no doubt in my mind that, those thoughts didn't even come about at all. Like I just know. You know what I'm saying? Um and I also knew from an external standpoint what others raved about my wife and everything as well too. It was just something about her that made me so comfortable that I didn't even have to think about what happened in the past. I just knew that, you know what? Like, there's no mistakes here at all.
That's beautiful. And it would be nice if everyone was able to experience that. But unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. And
Yep.
even though it didn't work that way for you initially, it's nice that it worked out for you eventually
Yeah.
because you stayed the course and you didn't give up. You kept going on.
Mhm.
And something I've said before in the past is that, if you stop where you are right now in the midst of something that's challenging and something that's not what you want it to be, that is a loss. But if you keep going, you're going to collect a couple more letters and it's become a lesson.
Come on now.
So, that's my interpretation of it. But I'll ask you yours. If that situation wasn't an L, what would you call it?
Hmm. If it wasn't an L, that's a good question. If it wasn't an L, I'd call it a level.
Okay.
Um, because I've elevated from that, you know? I've elevated from that level on where I was. So I would definitely call it a level in my life that I had to endure, I had to go through. There was no way around it. If I don't go through this level, I'm not who I am today. Should I have made better decisions? Yeah. Uh, but none of us are flawless, right? So therefore, it was a level in my life.
And not the final level.
Not at all.
That's amazing.
Yes, sir.
I I I know a bit about you, not the length and depth of what other people know about you because I learned about you very late in the day.
Mhm.
But that was not one of them.
Mm.
And I'm very grateful for you sharing. I know for a fact that there's probably people going, hang on. He said his son had cancer. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Go follow him on social, hear his story, let him share it to you in a way that he wants to share it to you.
Yeah.
Oh no, but what about his mum? Again, go follow him. Go see what he's got going on there
Yeah.
and see what's up with Mumsy.
Yeah.
But shout out to Mumsy though for calling the red flags from way back when. Like
All the way.
my Mumsy saw it from a distance. Mumsy had a
Yeah.
telescope hat going, nah, but not my baby. You mad?
Yeah. She had the spidey sense on real quick.
Oh, that tingling sensation was there. And
Yeah.
then dad as well for holding it down because
Yeah.
not a lot of dads, unfortunately, are on the scene like that. But dad was there holding it down. Even when he didn't know how to navigate a situation,
Yep.
he was still there
Yeah.
with you in the trenches going, I've got a letter.
Yep.
Do you want to open it with you?
Mm.
He weren't just like, there's something here for you and let you wait until afterwards. He's there with you. And I love that. I just think if we knew more about each other, like we've just had a conversation about, we'd probably be a lot more kinder to one another and be more
Mhm.
empathetic and going, yo, I had no idea. And I just think that that is really, really nice. What I'm
Mm.
going to ask you to do, please use the next 2 minutes to selfishly and unapologetically plug yourself and everything you got going on. So where the people can find you so they can catch up on the rest of the stories and all the new stuff you're going to be dropping.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, you guys could really find me on Instagram. I've been hanging out there a lot lately. At Kenny Clutch underscore, KENNYCLUTCH underscore. You can catch me any of my courses. If you are somebody that is looking to elevate from a personal level, professional level, in your development and want to go to that next level, I have a plethora of courses and trainings that you guys can get on my website. That's www.kennethallenThomas.com, KENNITHALLENTHOMAS.com. And yeah, and then join in on the Unshakable Nation. Get with the podcast. Get what we're talking about. We're talking about different topics as far as when it comes to our personal growth and talking about all faith, family, and leadership and looking to grow in that aspect. I feel that we all are leaders in some way, shape, or form. And as leaders, we never stop growing. We're always looking to go to another level, or we should be looking to go to another level. And from there, just continue to come along for the ride. I share my family. I share my experiences and the things that I feel that are going to edify people and help them live life to their fullest potential. And that's really what it's all about. I want to see you guys win. So I'm under the mindset of giving until it hurts and then give some more. Right. And I'm just going to keep giving.
All I can say is, people, I pulled a face when he said that. Give into it hurts and then give some more.
Yep.
Oh, I like that. I
Yeah,
like
bro.
that.
Because you got to think about it, right? If we're trying to achieve something in life, then we're going to have to give something. If you are somebody that is looking to spark a business, maybe you want to create a nonprofit, maybe you want to write a book, whatever it is that you're looking to do, the first thing that you're going to need is a tribe. You're going to need a community. How are people ever going to listen to you if you're not giving to them? So give until it hurts. You give your time, give your money, give your wisdom, give whatever it is that you have to give. You give it. You give until it hurts, right? When you feel like you don't have it to give it anyway. Because the harvest that you reap in the end will be so much more beneficial for you and will edify your life to a totally different level, to things that you wouldn't even ask, think, or imagine. So yeah, give until it hurts and then give some more.
Damn. You sure you want to host my podcast for me?
I got you, bro. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, that's
I give
absolutely
that
beautiful.
too.
Oh, that's actually beautiful. That I appreciate you coming on and sharing all that you have done. Love to your family, love to you, love to mum, dad, and everyone else involved that help support you, even your people them that help with the production to kind of get you through just visualizing what was going on and putting it out there. Because even now I'm thinking of a couple of people I will reach out to after this episode and say, yo, because what they shared on their episode was being cheated on,
Yeah.
like, and it was their fiancés. None of
Yeah.
them got to the level that you got, you
Yeah.
know, thankfully or not thankfully, however you want to put it.
Mhm.
But it's just nice to hear people sharing these stories, because a lot of people say, I don't hear black men talk about this. I don't hear men
Mhm.
talk about this, full stop.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that, one, it's a shame. Two, it's a matter of, cool, I'm grateful that I'm in a position where people feel comfortable enough to disclose this type of information and allow me to share it for other people. But all I want to do, and I know I'm repeating myself here, but I want to bring people together. I want us to feel less alone in this world. The
Yep.
worst thing you can probably feel is being lonely amongst a crowd.
Yeah.
If I can help people to see that these things happen and it impacts us on a cellular level, on a
Mhm.
spiritual level, then hopefully you can understand why people react the way they do to certain things you say, think, or do. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that they're going through some stuff, and we just need
Yeah.
to afford people grace, give people the benefit of the doubt. Just because of
Yeah.
what they say, what they do, how they react isn't their full being. Sometimes people might kick off at you and you take it personally, but it's not even you. It's a series of things that add up to that point. And I can definitely say this as a parent. And it's something one of my friends, Travis, actually said about how kids don't know how to push the buttons. And it's like, no, they don't, but they know the combination. Like,
Oh yeah, they know.
I am tired.
Mhm.
I am sleep deprived. They're bleeding me dry over my patience, of my emotions, of my finances. And
Mm.
then they want to go and do this. Are you? That's the combination for me.
Yes.
Don't
Yep.
anyone use that, please. But that's the
Mhm.
combination. And it's a matter of, right, how do I navigate that? How do I not lash out on the next person? How do I know how to improve myself and no longer let that remain the combination to get me to that level where I snap? And other
Mm.
people may not be aware of that. They just go around snapping, 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 not knowing it. But unless we understand that there's more to people than what we can see, we are
Mhm.
going to struggle to be happy and fulfilled in our lives, because we're going to keep taking things personally when it's anything but. It's just part of the process. And I think while we're on our way to happiness, on that journey, enjoy the ride. Because, everyone enjoys a good story. So why not have your story to tell to people?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that my little one's coming down here now, but I think that to your point, there's this thing that I teach in a lot of my talks, and it's called the well-being exercise. And within the well-being exercise, people have to learn how to put themselves, first. Many people don't put themselves first. They put themselves, fourth or fifth on the list, and then they wonder why that certain things are not flowing the way that they want, right? When you put yourself first, meaning taking care of your mindset, taking care of your body, for example, right? um for American football, right? In an American football would be, they get ready to play on Sundays. Sorry about that.
That's all
That's Christian, everybody here.
right.
Um, they get ready to play on Sundays. When they get ready to play on Sundays, they are taking care of their bodies. If they don't take care of their bodies, then guess what? They're not going to be able to be at their best self for their team. And being that they're not being able to their best self for their team, then that right there may the whole team is going to feel the effects of it. So you do the same thing inside your family as well too. So learn how to, take care of you and do the things that are important for you so that you can be better for your team.
100%. And it's like when you're on a plane, they say when the mask drop, you put it on yourself and then you put it on the child, because the reality is you give it to a child in the nicest possible way. What's that child going to do if you conk out, but they got a mask on?
Right.
So you might as well put it on yourself. And if they conk out, you're in a position of where you're able to provide for them, support them, and get them from where they are to where they need to be. So I absolutely love that. And I enjoyed this conversation so much. And yeah, looking forward to more of what you drop, what you share. And yeah, look forward to many more engagements over the
Yes, sir.
coming weeks, months, and so forth. And again, love to you and your family. To everyone listening, I hope you enjoyed the conversation and taking something from this. Please reach out to him if you need to. Follow him, and just understand that just because whatever you're going through right now feels like a loss doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be. Like I've said multiple times before, there's nothing about a caterpillar that tells you it's going to be a butterfly. So look after yourself, stay well, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Every L podcast. Every L podcast.